Good morning. As you can see, the forecast is promising. That's why we are already a bit preempting.
They are scaring the clouds away.
Yeah, that's true. So before we start the next topic, I will ask my dear colleagues here to introduce them shortly, and then we are going to tackle the discussion. So, ladies first.
Yeah, thank you. I love so much ladies first. So, my name is Almudena, and I work for Lundbeck. I'm responsible for this long role that you see here, but basically is omnichannel journeys. So everything related for content, campaigns, congresses, events. Nice meeting you all.
Hello everybody, I'm Andrea Rolleri. I'm responsible for digital and data innovation at MSD. I'm new to the pharma industry, so my background is telco and media, so being here is an incredible opportunity to listen and learn from you guys.
And thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Giacomo Porzio. I'm the founder and CEO at Hyntelo, which is a service provider platform in pharma life science.
Perfect, and I'm still the same as yesterday, so I'm still Dirk Abeel. Nice to be here again. So we have been talking over the last day and also this morning a lot about HCP engagement, the importance about a data-driven approach, the importance of metadata tagging of your content, the analysis of all the data, internal and external, all things needed to go to the famous word, next best kind of action. So, Almudena, to start with you, what is the groundwork really needed before implementing, let me say, a broader customer engagement omnichannel strategy?
Yes. So I have heard in the past, in these 2 days, a lot of conversations regarding the company culture. I think, in my opinion, it's very rarely that we can influence the company culture, because the company culture usually is the secret of the success of the company, right? So we have, I work for a Danish company, so these big tables for taking decisions are the secret of the success. But what we can really influence is the strategy, and include the company strategy and in the brand strategy, the new way we're going to interact with our customers, because this is the only way to move things forward. The other thing that needs to be done, also in my opinion, is to really clearly put on the table that this is a new way of doing marketing. And sometimes people underestimate what does this mean, because this goes through changing the way the teams operate, the way that the teams are creating assets, for example, and it's a big work of harmonization, starting for the segmentation, following with the brand materials that we are using if we really want to establish this model from global to local. And then also kind of a repetition, this data-driven mindset, but that's a reality. I mean, we are already implementing in Lundbeck the customer 360. There's a lot of data that we have. We need to develop the ability to read into the data and be able to provide personalized experiences. And it's not the future, it's something that it's already happening, requires time and requires to have the right people in the teams to drive these tasks.
Thank you. So, Giacomo, looking from the tech side and from the perspective you are sitting and interacting with your customers, what's your opinion?
So, the ingredients are the ones that are in the slides we prepared, and I don't think there's a lot of need to describe and go into detail. Everybody is, I think, very knowledgeable about the vocabulary of all the elements. What I would like to maybe spend some time and put the focus on is what we are actually seeing, and is the difference between the perception or the objectives and the reality. Because that's where I think pharma companies need to focus on and work, on the execution of the strategy to bridge the gap between the actual state and the desired state. So the first thing on which really the attention needs to be put, and where we often find in pharma companies a situation that's not ideal yet, is the data, of course. It's often in silos, it's not clean sometimes. Different data sources do not communicate with each other. So it's important that it's not just a matter of making sure that you have the right data sources, but you need to make sure that they can be used in a compelling manner. Once that it's another factor which we encounter a lot is that there's a lot of manual processes. Manual tagging, anyone? Manual marketing campaigns management? and so on, right? So there is a lack of automation. And the third thing, which is linked to more to people and to skills, is the competencies. So I think that pharma need to focus a lot, and we help pharma in that when we can, into bringing in the right competencies in terms of data analytics and AI. Two more things about technology, since you asked. One is that when choosing or planning for an implementation of a technology, I liked very much the speech by Michael from BI before, because you need to have a global and scalable approach, but you have to take into account that local markets will need some sort of localization. No solution will work if with the one-size-fits-all approach. So you need to equip with solutions and partners that can guarantee that they have a global reach, but a localized approach in terms of customization. On the data, the other part, internal data, of course, is important, but it is also important to consider what's happening outside. So there's a lot of partners that are bringing in external data. We are also investing in building data assets that we can provide to our customers. That's very important because they complete the picture to inform, the next best action paradigm.
Okay, so moving from data, then let's link it to content. Andrea, what is your experience and your directions you are taking?
Yeah, content is definitely a part of the formula, but I would like to make one step back, because I think that to design a proper customer engagement strategy, you have first to set up the right environment. So you need to be sure that you are organized in the right way to design, analyze, and then adapt your strategy every day. It's a work that it continues every day, of course. It's not a one-stop job. Having said so, let's say I think that the secret formula of this customer engagement strategy work is made about three main ingredients. Okay, so one is people. You need the right people. You need the right people with the right competencies, attitude, able to drive a data-driven approach toward the organization. Be an agent of change also. Second is data. We need data. You have to be sure that everything you do, let's say, is codified in data, so journey and processes, and be sure that every single moment of interaction has a data attached, and then you need the visualization layer to read this data in a simple way. And then I go to content, so the first point of our question, which is a part of what I call, let's say, the tech foundation. So you need tagging capabilities. Giacomo was mentioning automation tool about that. We need it. We have a lot of content, tons of content, and you need to be sure you can track every single page, slide, or asset, I would say. So you need automation for that, definitely. Then about content, you need also search capabilities, utilization capabilities, and monitoring capabilities, which are fundamental. So you need to be sure you are able to measure not only the way our customers use our content, but the way they like it or not, in order then to make it then better every day.
So a side question to the three of you related to that, because we talk about data, we talk about culture change, we talk about people capabilities. So where are we with the digital savviness of, let me say, the commercial teams or the customer-facing teams? How far are we on that journey? And what else do we need to do to really make that instilled in the mindset of the commercial people?
I mean, I would say that at least for us, we are learning. This is where we are. We are learning, we are establishing a new way of doing things, which is through omnichannel journeys. And someone asked this morning, what happens if you have bad results on a campaign? In my opinion, now the campaigns are a way now for us to learn more about our customers, right? So it's not a good result or a bad result. We are learning the preferences. If in an email campaign, physicians are not open in the newsletter, that to me is not a bad result. This means that we need to tag them with a different channel. And this is where we are today, building this customer 360 view. and collecting data to really improve the content that we are going to be delivering.
Andrea?
Yes, I'm not able to say where we are because I just joined the company 4 months ago, but what I saw is definitely there's a need for acceleration, for speed. Okay, that's why I think they hired me actually. I mean, my experience is to the B2C industry. I said telecom media, which usually, most of the times, they leave this kind of tech paradigm, MarTech paradigm, before some other industries. So telecom media usually move first. So let's say my point of view is that we have to constantly view outside our company, outside our processes, outside our capabilities, and look with curiosity with an outside-in approach. Okay, not just within the market, but also, let's say, across the markets, because there are several paradigms you can take inspiration of.
Okay. And Giacomo, from your side, what have you seen?
So from the outside, I cannot speak for pharmaceutical organizations, but from the outside, what I see in terms of results, one important KPI, for instance, is the adoption. Mm-hmm. I think commercial teams, if prepared, are ready to adopt digital and to adopt the next best paradigm. Of course, you have to train and you have to explain that it's not something that's going to substitute their work. It's not, that's the huge discussion about is the rep over. I don't think it's over. I think the digital and artificial intelligence is here to help us work better and more efficiently. And if you explain that anything that you provide is a tool, sales reps understand and they actually like. So the adoption that we see is above 95% on the field reps, so which is
high,
astonishing across different age groups, different business lines. So it's not. I don't see an obstacle there. So if there's the right preparation beforehand, then the execution works and the results come.
So I could summarize it by saying, as long as the what is in it for me factor is clear, the rest should follow. But I can say, based on my experience in my previous life, that often is lacking, and that we've too often put technology first, and then we say, okay, oh yeah, it's true, some people have to execute it, and then only we start a whole change. So, well, I think some valuable insights. So, we've been talking about putting into action an omnichannel engagement framework. It would be great to hear from you some practical use cases that you really need to have before you can do that properly. Who wants to start? Yeah.
I go. Orchestration use cases. I would say we have several ways to be in contact with our customer. If we do not manage them consistently, coherently, we risk to overwhelm our customer, to annoy them. So we have to put in the shoes of HCP and think about what kind of content is meaningful to me, where I want to receive it, when I want to receive it. And that's the way you are in the right position to design an orchestration strategy. Of course, you need tech capabilities, you need next best action, you need campaign planning, you need all the tech foundation that you need. So orchestration is one, personalization is another one. I would say hyper-personalization. Yesterday we talked about human to human, and it's true, but we have to recognize that every human is different. So we need to, let's say, aim or have the ambition to reach a segment of one approach about content, so I would call it hyper-personalization. Then I would say what I like to define, go where the customer is strategy or use cases. So it means maybe to go on mobile, to develop an app. So not just have your website, but also an app. HCP have less and less time going further, so we need to be to know that this constraint exists and to go mobile. Research says that if I forget my mobile home, I come back to pick it up. If I forget my wallet or my keys, I don't. Let's say someone else will pay for my lunch or will open my door at home. So mobile is always with us, so being on mobile is crucial. And then I would say, last but not least, definitely, because it's all about customer feedback loop. So be constantly listening to the feedback of our customer. To the industry I come from, I said telco media, that was a mantra. Okay, maybe because there are, let's say, several millions of interaction every day, so there's a different scale maybe. Maybe those were interaction maybe shorter or less relevant than in pharma. But in pharma, because of the relevance that every single interaction with our customer has into the business, it's crucial to have a good feedback loop systems capabilities to listen and learn.
So the iteration process, yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
Almudena?
So I would like to see a case of reusability of content. I think that whoever works in content creation, and that's part of what I do in Lundbeck, knows that it's a pain. I mean, creating content is a very long process, it's extremely expensive, and actually is one of the biggest pieces of the budget. Once you are rolling out Omnichannel, how can you keep your content up to date? And we have a lot of content in the pharma companies, right? A lot of content that comes from the brands, but you also need to create new content, because if you want to really move a needle, that's not going to work. It needs to be fresh, right? So probably modular content is a way to help us thrive in this in an automized way. Also because we need to accelerate the speed to markets, and creating a proven content that requires a lot of time, also about distribution and local relevancy. So I would like to see this happening. And the other thing is what I call Salesforce optimization. And this is extremely connected with the culture of the company. I have heard from some colleagues that maybe they are considering not to use Salesforce anymore. This is not the case in Lundbeck, right? And it's extremely connected to the culture of the company. The sales rep is a key component, it's a key channel, and we are fine with that. But how can we make the journey of the sales rep better? And now we are trying to analyze if an SMS action could be a way to do it. The Customer 360 are providing them more information about the customer, so they are better prepared, they can better plan. So this is the way we are using technology and all the capabilities that we are building to optimize the role of the sales rep and free up a bit his time.
Okay, so Giacomo, then we close the loop with you.
Yeah, so I would like to link to what Almudena was saying about content, and to start from there. I think there's a big pain point in content creation and reuse. So one use case we are trying to address is searchability and reusability of content, and we do that through automated content tagging. So we leverage artificial intelligence to enable content tagging at scale and very efficiently, very fast. Once that's done, that's a piece. Then what our ambition is and what we are doing is we're actually bridging the gap between the content, the strategy, and the execution. So we built a solution which is unique in space that takes into account the inputs from the marketing. So what is it that you want to communicate? What are your objectives in terms of communication for the sales cycle? Efficacy of this new drug proven in this scientific study. What are the KPIs, overall survival? Who's your target, a set of target customers. What do you want to communicate? We find automatically in the system, thanks to tagging. So we search those content that match those key messages, and we have the material ready to distribution. And then there's the execution part. That's where the customer analytics comes into play, and the multi-channel part comes into play. So we make sure that this customer has already seen that message. Well, don't go back to him. He doesn't need, because he's already seen enough times. But the next customer, maybe he needs to see the message, and his preferred channel is email. He opens that. So unless you're going nearby for your next visit, you can skip these guys. So we're trying to bridge this gap between the execution across channel and the content. But content tagging in itself, we hear more and more, it's a very enabling asset and a very enabling piece of technology, because it allows not just to search and reuse. We hear very low percentages, even these days, of content reuse across markets. Even when you have a centralized factory, how do you make sure that then the markets are actually using the content that you produce centrally. But when you tag, you can also monitor usage of your content. So you can see and you can communicate internally into your field team what messages the customers are actually interacting with. And then you can build automation based on that. And this is what we do today. What we would like to do in the future is leverage even more the power of AI. And there's a huge hype on ChatGPT. We think there are some very valuable applications on some solutions we are working on and we built already. One is Summit. Summit is a solution we built. We presented it in December, and you will see how it works, because you will receive a summary of all of the sessions of the conference in a one-pager PDF. So you can basically summarize through AI each session. And that's a very nice application, I think. Another application is being able to interact more dynamically with content. There's a big debate and a big theme on whether the content generated by AI needs approval or not, but at least it can be used as an interface to retrieve the content you're looking for more easily, or summarize, and then you can go and search the source of that information in your digital asset management systems.
So based on this answer, it also requires obviously that there is a certain rigor in the quality of data captured by, let me say, the end users, be it an MSL or a medical rep or a key account manager, that your CRM system is reflecting your segmentation strategy, that the content then is aligned with that segmentation strategy through the right tagging kind of strategy, and then the whole machinery can start playing and working in favor of.
And this goes back to the first point I was referring to, which is the data quality and uniformity.
Which is a critical part, and which sales guys love so much. As we know. I have one more question, but before I do that, I want to give some time back to the audience, first of all, to see if you have any questions to the panel. I see a hand there, yeah?
Hi, it's not really a question, it's more like an anecdote or supporting what you just said. We focus in our company on the AI stuff, on analyzing sales from direct sales to customers. And yesterday was also the discussion that sales reps fear that they probably getting irrelevant or how they be adapted to this. So we use the next best action item to analyze the daily sales of hospitals. And then the sales rep is using the recommendations from the tool when they talk to the chief pharmacist. At the beginning they were afraid, and now a sales rep came back, said, I spoke to one from the charity in Berlin, and she asked me if I attended the training. And he asked why, because then he said to him, because you never asked me so clever questions before. And with that, he was totally bought into it, and now is a huge supporter of AI and next best recommendations. It's just maybe sometimes you need to do smaller steps, see where you think you can have reliable data, where you feel secure in an environment, because retail in the other side is a huge black box, and how to address HCPs with next best action. But maybe there are some areas in your businesses where you can see you can be easier and successful in the first step.
Well, thanks for that testimonial. Any reaction from anyone here?
What I would like to share is that this is really a funny story, because I think that around AI or let's say new technology anyhow, there's always a scary feeling besides our colleagues on the field, etc., etc. So what I found in my previous experience that is not working is trying to force or convince them, while it's better to first engage them with that. So you have to make them trying, so the trust they building themselves with the solution will be much more powerful than the way you convince them to do that. And then beside the experience, you can add data on top. So by using the application and the solution and see that it's working, it's useful, it's meaningful to you, it helps you actually. And then having data that maybe compare and give you the sense of what kind of help you're receiving, an uplift maybe you're receiving on your targets and your performance, that's the right way. I say it's more pull than push, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't come as a surprise that people is scared about transformation, and I'm going to be substituted by technology, but I think that by involving them since the beginning and showing them what's in it for me, so you will have more time, more visibility on what your customer is doing, and you will require less time to prepare the next conversation. That's all done, and we have seen it. And once you convince once or two, then it all goes in cascade because they speak to each other and they say, "Oh, you see, it's not so bad as I was expecting." So I would say that it's going fine. And of course, there are always haters, as I call them, but so far so good.
And if it helps them get their bonus at the end of the year, even
Yes.
better.
A virtual one.
A virtual one. Well,
I would say it's instilling the mindset of embracing change. Huh?
Yeah.
And I think with these words, I would like to thank you very much for the discussion.
I have a question, please.
Yes? Oh.
Have you considered being disruptive and using the field force to create a forum for the HCP to be the content creators? Because when they create content, they do product placement much better than marketeers and us can do it. And we've just done that, and it's been really, really successful.
Yeah.
That's for me, I guess. Yeah, I mean, actually, we're using key opinion leaders for content creation that work very closely with us. So it's something that we have been doing for a long time. And what we have seen is that when it comes to matching HCPs' expectations, all the content that comes from our source of trust, sometimes it's better taken than when it comes from the pharma company itself. So.
Thank you.
that makes me think of a case we worked on with a pharma. They had feedback in written form from the field collected back in the headquarters, and what they were doing was dedicating staff in the HQ to analyze the feedbacks from the interactions between the field force and the HCPs, and use that to inform next interactions, but also strategic planning. Well, the way we helped there was to automate the extraction of insights, so the analysis of text, to extract automatically all of the topics and the sentiment associated, so they could see easily which hospitals were hot in terms of topics of interest.
Okay, unfortunately, I need to close the discussion. Almudena, Andrea, and Giacomo, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good continuation.
There's sunglasses for everyone.